you as a human is responsible for your own happiness. So once you get into a partnership, I'm sure some people are like, well, then what's their job?
Right.
Their job is to support your happiness.
Welcome everybody to Love and Melanin, where you come to heal, grow, and dwell in the beauty of being in love and melanin. I am your co-host, Cedric Cooper, and my beautiful wife here is with me.
Deja Cooper.
You doing all right tonight, babe?
I'm doing well.
I'm sure you're pretty tired.
Swell.
I'm sure you're pretty tired. Hey, shout out to Effect Fitness, whooping my wife's butt.
Trying to get back right. 3 months postpartum, baby.
All right, 3 months postpartum, man.
3 months.
We definitely going to do an episode related to
No.
What was that?
It was you.
That was me?
Yes.
Oh, well, sorry. We're definitely going to do an episode related to pregnancy and that whole scenario and whatnot. So, but tonight, we have an interesting show. We are going to talk about happiness, the imperfections of that blurred statement. What does it mean in relationships? What does it mean in marriages? And whose responsibility is it? So I'm going to let you kind of kick it off, babe. I know you have a story kind of related to this, but why don't you share it? Give me a good breakdown of what this whole happiness thing kind of means when it comes to being in a partnership and a relationship.
Yeah, I think you introduced this very well in regards of this thing called happiness, right? Like everyone has their own different definition of what happiness looks like to them. And I think the biggest takeaways that I would love to harp on here is that I was the female that thought you were responsible for my happiness. And what did that look like, right? Like there were days where I was frustrated, I was mad, I was upset, I was sad. And I looked at you to heal me. I looked at you to find the answers to make me feel better. And that didn't get us anywhere.
Yeah, it didn't.
Actually, it brought us back.
Yeah.
It continued to push us backwards in our relationship in a sense, simply because first off, you didn't even know what I needed to be happy, because guess what? I didn't know what it looked like to be happy. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what I needed to be happy. So I think, me being able to learn that I'm responsible for my own happiness allowed me to start taking responsibility of it, which in return allowed me to show up in a much better way in our relationship and allowed you to show up in a way of support instead of in a way of you trying to fill a hole you have no idea how to fill.
You said a lot there. You said a lot of things that are pretty important that I think needs to be harped on. One thing you said was that in hindsight, you said it's not the other partner's responsibility to make you happy.
Nope.
And you were saying that when you had the mindset of the fact that I was supposed to make you happy and that the relationship that we were in was supposed to make you happy, you said It set us back.
Right.
And I agree with that. It definitely did set us back. Reason being is because as a man, as someone that wants to be the foundation, someone that wants to be viewed as the knight in shining armor for his woman, that's a lot of responsibility, because happiness is a ever changing thing.
Right. It looks different within the seasons, right?
Yeah, it definitely does look different. And not being able to fulfill that because it's constantly changing puts a certain level of responsibility, but also it's kind of like selfish, right? Because if I was depending on you to kind of make me happy and you weren't doing a good job of that, what I'm supposed to just walk around and feel sad all the time? Am I supposed to look at everybody else's relationship and compare it to mine and say, okay, you're not doing XYZ, not even really taking into my thoughts as to, does that even make me happy? Do I even want that? So I'm glad you really did break that down, and I think our audience really needs, for the audience that has a partnership, if you're in a relationship, when it comes to friendships, everything, your happiness is so important, but it is your responsibility.
Yep.
It's not the other person's. I think additional happiness comes. You feel me on that, Daxton?
Right.
Daxton
He agrees.
He agrees with me.
And you said that you harped on exactly what I just said, right? You as a human is responsible for your own happiness. So once you get into a partnership, I'm sure some people are like, well, then what's their job?
Right.
Their job is to support your happiness. Like your job is to come and alleviate any stressors that you feel as though you can bring to the table. Look within, right?
Yeah.
The more you better yourself, the better you make our relationship. And likewise, the more I better myself, the better I better our relationship. So I think my point is that we're here to support each other in so many different avenues. But the number one thing is supporting each other's happiness and supporting each other's peace.
I think happiness, if you're someone that is living with a partner, happiness really impacts how the whole household is kind of ran.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because if you have one person that is very unhappy, doesn't necessarily know why, that energy is going to flow throughout the whole household. And it's going to, bless you, baby. It's going to affect everybody that's included into the household. It'll go as low as the dogs, all the way to your partner, all the way to the kids, whatever that sort of looks like. So I think that's very important that you harped out. I have a question for you, because happiness is a very, it's a gray area, right? But it's important to point out that happiness falls in lines with the category of mental health. And my question to you is, how do you prioritize your mental health so that you can show up best in your relationship?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because it took me a very long time to realize I needed to prioritize myself, my mental health, in order to show up best in my relationship, but also show up best for myself. And so how I prioritize it would just be listening to what my body needs. I spend a lot of time with myself. I have a great relationship with myself. And that just looks like me sitting in silence, riding in the car with no music on and just thinking and just being very in tune with who I am and how I'm feeling and what needs I potentially, may be feeling within at that given moment, and then being able to fulfill them. And, a great example would be if I feel as though I had a very stressful day, it's my responsibility to not then get on the couch and scroll on Instagram, because that's not fulfilling. When I know for a fact I had a very stressful day, my responsibility is to figure out a way to alleviate some stress so that I then can come into a room with pure joy, with great energy, and be around my family and only cultivate, that goodness that I'm bringing in. So what does that look like? Again, it looks like me going into a room and meditating, me going to work out. I work out at a place that literally has hour blocks from 5:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. There's a block I can find in order to get a 45-minute workout in, because I know that clears my mind, that alleviates feelings. So, long story short, I just think it's best to just listen to your body, have a relationship with yourself, and be able to implement whatever your body is telling you that you need to do. And Daxton agrees. He does,
definitely agrees with you. And I'm glad you shared that. I want to know, first and foremost, it sounds like you do make that a priority.
Yeah.
What are some signals that people can identify when they're not prioritizing their mental health? They're not prioritizing their happiness for themselves.
The biggest thing is frustration, irritability, maybe even being a little bit more quieter than you're typically are. But I think, for both of us in our relationship, we're very energy focused.
Right.
And we just feel it.
Yeah.
We easily can feel it within seconds of being around one another. And that's a blessing, right? It's a blessing and it's a curse because we're so connected and aligned with one another's feelings and thoughts that it can impact us if we just don't take the time to ask the right questions, to guide our partner in what they need to do in order to feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think you do a phenomenal job of being aware when your happiness has shifted.
Yeah, I think
how do you communicate that to me? I think you do a great job. So I would love for you to talk to everyone and talk through, we're not happy all the time, which is honest God true. So when you feel as though you're off or you need some time or your mood isn't just right, how do you tell me that so I'm able to respect your feelings and give you the space that you need?
I think there's two ways on how to identify when your happy meter is kind of low. And I think it shows in two ways. It shows in body language and it shows with your communication style. When it comes to body language, you have a feeling of a gray cloud that's just kind of hovering over you. It feels like you have like a weighted blanket on, and it's just holding on to every single movement that you're doing, every project you try to complete, every conversation that you go in. That weighted blanket doesn't seem to go anywhere, and you don't know where it's actually coming from, right? That's your body explaining to you, and your body telling you
something's wrong. Yeah.
There's something wrong with the vibrations kind of going on right now. I need you to kind of shake up the environment or do something else. Another one is your tone, right? If you're not the usual, and don't get me wrong, right? You're not supposed to always be in an uppity type of mood, but when it comes to your communication style, are you short? Are you irritated? Are you being short with people? Are you not as open to having full out conversation and being able to be aware of that? If you're just not in a space of really opening up, that alone gives you signals that I'm not really in a good space. And once the other partner kind of feels those signals, maybe ask a few questions. Or something that you do really good at is that when you notice that I'm not doing well, when I'm not in a really good space, instead of trying to probe what is going on with me, because sometimes I just tell you, I just feel blah, just having a blah moment. You say, hey, why don't we go get some ice cream? Why don't we go to the park? Why don't we go for a walk? Why don't we go play fetch with the dogs in the backyard? Why don't we get outside? Let's change the environment. And I think that's really the benefit of having a partner that's really in sync with you, that knows you, that's very observant of your day-to-day moves, so that they could feel those vibes, they could feel that energy and say, okay, maybe we need to shake things up just a little bit. But I think those are the two ways that I show you how I'm doing. And I think you do a good job of shaking up the environment if probing isn't working out.
Right. No, I definitely do agree. Getting outside of the environment and trying new things and being able to shift our mindset. But I want you to explain what it looks like when I think it's hard for men to be vulnerable. And I think you do a great job of that. It took a very, very, very long time.
It took a very long time.
But what does it look like when you tell me you're not feeling good? How do you tell me?
I think it's very important to communicate when you're not feeling if you're not operating on the frequency that you normally operate on, and you feel that it's completely off. The minute you identify that, I think it's important to communicate that. Some ways on how you can communicate that for me has been, hey, I'm just not feeling good today. I don't know why. I'm still reflecting on it, but I'm not going to be my usual self today. If I say that from the get-go, I don't leave you in a sense of confusion,
right,
and pondering as to why I'm in this sort of mood. Because if I don't communicate that, then you're walking around like, well, what did I do? What did I say? Did I irritate him? Did I do that? And if I leave opportunities for you to try to figure it out, that may piss you off. That may put you in a state of which you're not knowing what to do, and you may say, okay, he's not talking to me. That may irritate you a little bit more. But I do want to harp on one thing which is very important, and this is for all my men. Men are typically pretty logical. We operate from, I think, the left brain, which is the most logical brain. I could be wrong. There is a clear way for you to communicate. There's a very clear way that men can communicate about how they feel. I think it's the ego and the pride, that stops them from communicating it. But there's a way to communicate and still be able to keep your ego, still be able to keep your pride. And the way you do that is simply saying, hey, I feel a little off. I'm not really aware as to why. I'm still figuring out, kind of reflecting. But today, just give me grace on how I respond in certain situations. Boom. You stop that there, still be able to keep your ego. You don't seem weak. You don't seem someone that can't be strong in the situation.
Yeah.
But I think one of the most powerful things is being aware of your emotions.
And then being able to vulnerably communicate it. Exactly.
And vulnerability doesn't have to come off as super overly empathetic.
Or weak.
Right. Or weak. It's simply being able to communicate and have emotional intelligence. And so I think it's very important for men to do that for their women, because women love that. Like, they love for a man to communicate with them. And if the communication isn't clean, I mean, take it as feedback, bro. Like, take it as feedback. Read some communication books. You get what I'm saying? Learn it. A plus B equals C. Be logical and figure it out.
Right.
But I would say that's how I've learned how to communicate when I'm not feeling good, and how it's been for me when it comes to being aware as to me not being on 100%. But what about you? How do you typically communicate it? Because you have creative ways on how you share your frustrations, or if you're not in a good mood. So you let me know.
Do I?
Yeah, you do. You definitely do.
I mean, I think I'm just transparent on how I'm feeling at all times with you. I think I've learned from you in regards of being proactive and addressing how I feel with you, so that I do not leave any room for questions or confusion, yet I leave room for support.
Yeah.
And I realize that typically when I do it that way, I feel better quicker. I'm not getting added additional stress from your confusion, or I'm able to just feel the support. And even, sometimes you're like, okay, cool. I understand you're feeling this way. Let's go, to the park, or let's go get some ice cream, or let's go do things that make you feel good. And for the most part, doing the things that make me feel good with the person I love the most alleviates my stress.
So let me ask you, because you're expressing very well. You're kind of on a roll here. What does it feel like when you're happy?
Wow, it feels light. It feels like peace. It feels like a sense of contentment. It's just, with happiness is you choosing to find joy in the simple things. It's you choosing that though your boss may piss you off, or your dog may poop in the living room, or, like silly things may happen throughout the day.
Or your business partner pisses you off.
Pisses you off. Yes. You finding to look at the brighter side of things at all times, you finding the ability to remain focused on what really matters, even when the BS still tries to fit in your way, right? So I think it's just finding a way to be content with the life that you have while you're still continuing to grow day in and day out.
That's beautiful.
What does happiness look like? What does it mean to you?
Shoot, if I have to be completely honest, happiness for me feels like the first time I saw Daxon, the first time you told me you loved me, when I get a haircut, when I have on an outfit that I know I look freaking good and I'm feeling good,
look good, feel good, baby.
When I've just closed a really big deal, when I've touched everybody in my family. When I've followed up with all my friends, all my boys, all my homegirls, talk to them and just say, well, not my homegirls. I ain't got no.
Let the camera know.
Men, you don't need female friends.
But it's not that like homegirl. You don't got a homegirl, honey. I'm your homegirl.
I think I got a couple homegirls.
You don't. Keep going.
Okay. Getting a brand new pair of shoes. Just getting done with a 30-minute meditation, hour-long meditation. Happiness for me is complete at peace. Mm-hmm. Happiness to me is being happy with my timeline, my life. Yeah. Being concerned with my life and what I got going on. Being organized feels like happiness.
Feels joyous, doesn't it?
You know, when there's a complete, I won't even say balance, when things are just in sync, and there's a certain synchronicity going on within every sphere: spirituality, physicality, mentally, financially, family, love. When all of that is just really just in motion. That's what happiness kind of feels like.
Yeah.
For me.
No, when everything's in motion, right?
Yeah.
Balance. I love that. I really want to harp on saying yes to yourself before you say I do to someone else.
Oh, wow. Whoa, you're getting deep now. You're getting into the deep. Now, when you say I do, are you talking about marriage?
I'm talking about marriage, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, you can take it at different levels, right? It's like you saying I do to a relationship, or you saying I do to dating. You know, there's so many different levels that you can say I do to. Yeah. But I've learned from my own mistakes of, we've been dating on and off ever since college, and I never said yes to myself. I never committed to myself in a way that I am now for our entire relationship until probably 2021, when I started my own little journey, when I realized, wow, I need to have a relationship with myself if I want to be happy, if I want to grow, if I want to continue to be the wife that makes Cedric proud.
Yeah. I will say you were starting that early on, before 2021. I think it became a priority in 2021, but you were doing it before even 2020. You were doing it for some time and constantly talking about it. But I don't think it was a major priority until 2021.
Yeah. I mean, I just go back to the times, it's so embarrassing, when, 2016 to 2020, where I just remember I was just always annoyed by something. I was always bothered by something, mad at something. And I think it was because I was looking for joy outside of myself. I was looking for you to be my happiness.
Wow.
And you couldn't be, because you didn't even know what that looked like.
And then I got into the phase of complaining. Nothing makes you happy.
Nothing makes you happy.
I just can't. Yeah. You always mad at something. I'm going away. I'm doing it. And that would only make the situation worse. Leaving and not being able to kind of get through that with you.
Yeah.
Right. So it created even more anxiety and even more pressure.
Yeah. It's like I was looking for joy from you, and you gained frustration because you couldn't give me what I was looking for, rightfully so.
Yeah.
And it took for me to go on this major self-love journey to find it within myself, the joy that I have been like hiding and like compacting within me, to then be able to use it in a way that can only make my life so much better.
Do you ever feel as though you were happy by yourself?
I feel like I was and I want to like throw a disclaimer out there. I have a great life. Like, it's not like I was like this depressed person that was just like going through it. It's just I wasn't intentional with my happiness. I think I was very materialistic. I think, going shopping and like having the finest of the finest things made me happy. But guess what? That was temporary. And, I was so structured all my life that it was easy for me to find happiness because I was able to find happiness with the different accomplishments that I was able to do within the structure that I had. Yeah. I think when I let loose of the structure, when I graduated from college, I had no more structure. It was my life to live. I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, there's no structure. Yeah. Like I have no idea how to make myself this happy person. And I finally realized that I can do it. I just needed to find it from within, and I was able to do that. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question.
You did answer my question, and you also showed it, because when you finally made it a priority, you actually started to go places solo.
Yep.
You started to go to coffee shops. You started to go do yoga. You started to go do your meditation. You started to go stretching, go for walks in the park.
I was okay with not being up your butt.
And that's why I asked you, were you ever happy by yourself prior, is because I have a question here where it relates to, does happiness have to be a two-person outcome? Like, does it have to require two people?
No.
And my grandmother, oh man, when I say my grandmother know God, she know God. She has lived by herself and been by herself, I want to say for like, she's in like her 80s now, 70s, late 70s, early 80s. And she is
74.
She's 74. She is so happy. She is content.
She's content.
She is good. She got God. She is fine. And I look at everybody else in my family, and majority of the people in my family are solo. Mm-hmm. My mother is solo. She's been solo for some time. However, she's happy. Mm-hmm. She's good. She feels better when she's around family. She doesn't have to have someone around. She loves her space.
Right.
It's the beauty within her space. I think that's very important that people need to understand, is that if you can't necessarily be happy by yourself, how do you expect to be happy with someone else?
Yeah.
Hey everybody, what's going on? We really appreciate you taking the time to delve into Love and Melanin and the conversations that we have on this show. Please make sure to like, subscribe, leave comments, give us other topics you would like to hear, things that we have not covered possibly. And also make sure to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and wherever we are available on other platforms. With that being said, please enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Think about it. You've had your, God bless you.
Bless you, baby.
You've had yourself your entire life. Mm-hmm. That's the longest relationship you have with yourself and with the Creator. But that has to make sure that there's a priority. You can't eliminate that.
Mm-hmm. We're talking a lot about happiness, but let's talk about, how do you have a relationship with yourself?
Correct. Okay.
What does that look like? Because the biggest thing for me is having a relationship with yourself looks like keeping promises that you said that keeping the promises that you created with yourself.
Yeah. I think a relationship with yourself is taking the time to actually reflect, taking the time to be in silence, taking the time to write down your thoughts, put them on paper, and then do an analysis. One thing I like to do is within my journal, I've been journaling for years now. What I like to do sometimes is go back and look at the dates of my journal entries. Sometimes I'll look at a certain date, and then I'll look at, okay, a year from now, what was I feeling? What was I going through? And sometimes when I look, I'm surprised.
What do you mean a year from now?
So a year prior.
Okay,
makes sense. Year prior to what was going on at this specific date. Like today is October 11th. Right?
So October 11th last year.
2021, October 11th. What was actually going on, right? And do I have a cycle of things kind of going on within my life? Do I live in this sphere of different seasons per quarter, right? That's what it looks like. Treating yourself. Go get yourself some ice cream. Go see a movie by yourself. Go in nature by yourself. Go enjoy these things. Yeah. Because if you don't, then you're really missing out. You're not respecting yourself. You're not doing the things that can truly, truly, truly make you feel better. And to me, that's what literally having a relationship with yourself kind of looks like. And sometimes it's different for different people. Right? Take a list, right? Take a list, sit on the edge of your bed and make a list of all the things you like to do, not including anybody else. You, yourself, and yourself.
And things that you want to try.
Write them all down. And when you have a day that you are committing to yourself and your self-development and your building of yourself. Yeah. Just start scratching things off the list. Yeah. That's how you literally build a relationship with yourself. That's how you develop the confidence that you need. That's how you develop yourself. So when you are in this world where everybody has a comment, there's probably going to be people on this. They don't know what they're talking about.
You already
know. They ain't
know.
old enough. Man, y'all not even like, y'all only been parents with 3-month kids, bro.
Cool. Well, we can talk about parenting.
Right. Like we're going to do a show on parenting.
Is long enough to talk
3
about
months.
Parenting.
Shoot, it's not even 3 months. Shoot, when he was baking in the oven, that's when it starts. But everybody has a comment. And unless you have relationship with yourself, you have to remind yourself that you're not these things that other people make you out to be. That's what building a relationship with yourself looks like.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching Love and Melanin. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and comment below in the comment section on different topics you would love to hear us discuss moving forward. And with that being said, we are about to hop right back into the show.
As we came back, guys, I wanted to make sure that I pointed out something that Deja actually brought to my attention the other day. And I'm an avid reader. I love to read. That's something that I constantly do to not get away, but to really just constantly exercise my brain. And I find joy in it. And Deja, who also has a love for acting. I said acting.
I'm like, I do not.
I'm sorry. I'm over here. I'm in my own personal loves. But Deja, who also has a love for reading, she sent me a book called The Untethered Soul. And there were a couple of lines in here that I wanted to read so that you guys could get a good understanding to what the premise of it was. And it speaks to this actual show. Do you want to be happy or do you not want to be happy?
Period.
It's really, period. There's a period there. It's really that simple. Once you make that choice, your path through life becomes totally clear. And that's a question, right? The book is called Untethered Soul. Is happiness as simple as just making the choice?
It's a choice. It's a choice.
Where do we get blurred though? Like and humans tend to make things a lot more complicated than what they need to be. But for that, why can't we just simply make a choice to be happy? What do you think is the reasoning for that?
I think because intention is hard. Intentionality is hard.
Wow.
And in order for you to choose happiness, again, it's a choice. You have to be intentional. Let me give you a prime example. You're driving to work. You got 5 minutes until you have this meeting.
Yeah.
You are 5 minutes away and the car in front of you is driving like molasses. You either get extremely frustrated, you start beeping the horn, you start looking to see if you can, drive around them, or you just allow yourself to be and understand that you may be a minute late for the meeting, but it's still going to be okay.
Wow.
And you choose to keep yourself centered. Though you can easily get very frustrated at the car in front of you that you can't control. The best thing for you to do is always control what you can, and that would be yourself. And looking at that from, an outside person looking in, don't allow that to steer your happiness just because it's something is going away that you didn't plan for it to go.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree on it. It is that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple as waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror and says, I'm going to choose to be happy today, no matter what happens. And the day and the universe will definitely test your level of commitment when it comes to being happy.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
But as long as you stay on that fine line that we call happiness, things should typically work out.
Yeah. And it may sound corny, but honestly, you got to continue to remind yourself. If something pisses you off throughout the day, remind yourself, I'm choosing happiness. I'm not going to allow this particular outside factor mess with what I got going on inside. I feel good. I woke up this morning. I woke up to no calls from my family in the middle of the night, which means my family is okay.
Yes, count them blessings.
I woke up to my husband being okay, my son smiling in my face, my 2 dogs ready to go out and use the bathroom. Get excited for those type of responsibilities. That means that your life is great. The things that will make me feel so good, I have them.
Yeah.
So all the other outside forces and factors that can easily affect my mood, I'm going to always remember to not allow it to. And going back to the happiness and joy, that's what I'm going to consistently choose day in and day out.
I love that. And I love you.
I love you too.
Well, on that note, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be with us and really dwell in the beauty of what it really means to find self-happiness. I'd like to make some quick reminders. Happiness doesn't necessarily have to always include 2 people. Happiness is not the responsibility to the other partner. It's your responsibility. And finally, I would like to say that the one thing we should constantly ask ourselves every time we wake up and we look into the mirror is, what is going to make me happy today? And then make commitment on getting that done. And the one thing that I would leave you guys with is something that Deja wrote in our notes, and it's a lesson. And it says, relationships, which are a lot of what we delve in on a day-to-day basis, are similar to seesaws. It has its ups and it has its downs, but it's worth the ride. Hey, shout out to Daxon be on it, man. Let's bring Daxon into it. Okay, you want to close out the show, Daxon? We're gonna let Daxon close out the show. Go ahead. There we go. Face him toward the camera so we know.
Say it's Daxon on the mic.
Hey, buddy. Put him in the camera so that he can say bye.
Say hi.
Say bye, everybody. Say bye.
Thanks for tuning in. We love y'all.
See you guys later. Peace.